Hi everyone, and welcome to the exciting conclusion of the Sustainable Aquaculture Program at Home Edition. Over the past 5 videos, we've learned a lot about aquaculture and aquaculture practices, and I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. So to end this series, we're going to be doing a squid dissection. Squid are not currently farmed in aquaculture yet, but they are still a really amazing animal to learn about doing a dissection. And the species we're going to be dissecting today is the market squid. Market squid are most commonly caught for food, such as calamari, or as bait for fishing. Not only are they an important food source for humans, but they also play an important role in the ocean food web, being eaten by fish, seals, orcas, and even other squid. So since they're such an important animal, we are going to learn more about them by doing a dissection. And even though they are not farmed, market squid dissection is a really good example of what scientists have to do in order to learn more about the anatomy of an animal. Before we dive into the dissection, we're going to learn some background info on the squid. Squid belong to a big group or phylum of animals called mollusks. There are 3 characteristics that make up a mollusk: a shell, a foot, and a mantle. We can break down mollusks even further into gastropods, which are our snails and slugs, bivalves, which are the clams, mussels, and scallops, and cephalopods, which are the squids and octopuses. If we look at a picture of a sea snail, we can easily see all 3 characteristics that make up a mollusk. The shell is on the outside, the mantle is that soft covering, and then the foot is what touches the ground and is what they crawl on. But when we look at a squid, it's a lot less obvious to see all those 3 characteristics. And I'll go over those in just a minute. So we're going to get started with the dissection. Let's head on over to the lab. So if any of you would like to do this dissection at home, you can purchase squid with your parents' permission from a fishing tackle store or a seafood market. I bought mine from a fishing tackle store, and it came in a package that looks like this. What you'll need for the dissection is a flat surface to work on and something to place on top of that flat surface, like newspaper or butcher paper, so you're not putting the squid directly onto your table. And then you'll also need a good pair of scissors, but make sure you get your parents' help if you're using some sharp scissors. So here's the market squid that we're going to be dissecting today. We're going to look at its external anatomy first. So what I want you to look at first is the mantle, which is one of those characteristics of a mollusk that I told you about. The mantle is what covers all of those internal organs. And if you notice on top of the mantle, you'll see some spots. Those are called chromatophores, and that is how your squid is able to change colors. So all of those chromatophores will actually flash different colors depending on different moods of the squid, if it feels threatened, if it's scared, things like that. So what you'll also notice on the outside of your squid are 2 fins on either side. 2 fins on either side right there. Your squid also has a head with 2 large eyes on either side. And then the foot part of your squid is what we call our arms and tentacles. So remember, that foot is another characteristic of what makes a mollusk a mollusk. So arms and tentacles are a little bit different, and I'm going to spread them out a little bit here so we can see them. Squids have 2 long tentacles, these 2 right here, and then they have 8 shorter arms. So you can kind of spread out those arms so you can see them. There should be 8. And the main difference between the arms and the tentacles, besides the length, is that arms have suction cups all along them, and then tentacles just have the suction cups at the ends. I'll bring this a little bit closer so you can see the suction cups here. All right. So those are your arms and your tentacles. Your squid also has a tube down at the bottom called a siphon. And what the siphon allows your squid to do is it helps it swim. So when your squid is swimming, it will suck in water through the mantle and then it shoots it out of the siphon. And it actually helps it go quite fast through the water. And when squid are swimming, they actually swim backwards. So that siphon shoots them backwards through the water. Let's see. If you look in between all of those arms and tentacles, you'll actually see the mouth or the beak of your squid. So you can see that little black dot right there. That is your beak, and I'm actually going to take that out. So the way you do that is you spread open all of those arms and you have to squeeze underneath that and it'll pop out a little bit. And you're gonna pinch and you pull the entire thing out. And so what you're left with is the beak right here. It's the beak, and it is attached to the esophagus. So that's the tube that all the food goes down after your squid has eaten it. So beak, just like a bird's beak, really similar to that. And then, so we've went through the characteristics that makes a mollusk, which is your mantle and your foot, but then we're missing a shell. So obviously this squid does not have a shell. I don't see a shell on its back or anything like that. But what it does have is it has something called a pen, which when you guys do your dissection, you'll actually be able to feel it. It's this point right here on your squid. It's probably really the only hard part inside of your squid. And what the pen is it's actually a remnant shell or a leftover shell. So the ancestors of squids and octopuses actually had a very large shell on their back. But when you think of an animal with a shell, they're usually pretty slow. So over millions of years of evolution, these squids have evolved to have something that is internal, so inside of them, and is very flexible and light, so they're actually more faster than their ancestors were. So that's what the pen is. That is our remnant shell. And we're actually gonna take it out. So with your fingers, you have to pinch where the pen is, you'll feel it, and you pull. It'll come out in one entire piece, just like this. And this is your pen right here. It kind of looks like a piece of plastic almost. It feels like plastic as well, but it's made out of the same material that shells are made out of. So that's your pen. All right, so that is our external anatomy. So now we're going to look at the internal anatomy. So what you need to do is you need to flip your squid over. So you're gonna flip it over on the side that the siphon is on. So there's your siphon right there. And now you're gonna take your scissors, and when you're doing a dissection, it's really important that we do not cut the organs. So when you are cutting your squid, you wanna lift up slightly with your scissors. And you're gonna cut just right down the middle, all the way to the very end. And you go ahead and you open up your squid just like this. Beautiful. Okay, so now we're looking at the internal anatomy of our squid. The first question you might have is, how do you tell a boy from a girl squid? It's a really great question. I'm gonna show you guys. So I can tell you now that this is a boy squid. And the way I can tell that is because this organ right here is that creamy white color. That's how I know. And I have a female that I can show you guys for comparison. So this is our female. So as you can see, this organ that's down here is not that creamy white color, it is actually a yellow color. So that yellow color right there, that is what's holding all of her eggs. So this female is full of eggs right there. All right, the next organ that we're gonna look at are the gills. So squids have gills because they have to breathe in the water. So if you take a look, there is one little feathery appendage right there and another little feathery appendage right there. Those are your two gills. And attached to each gill are actually hearts. So squids and octopuses actually have 3 hearts instead of just 1. They have 3 hearts because they actually have pretty thick blood, and they need all 3 of those hearts pumping in order to pump blood throughout their entire body. So they have one heart per every gill, and then they have 1 heart right in the center. So you can actually see it on these guys really easily. And I can lift it up a little bit so you can see it better. But the hearts are going to be kind of a pale yellow color. So it might be hard to see, but when you guys get your squid, what you'll have to do is you'll have to find your gills and go all the way down to the base of your gill. And at the base of your gill, you will find 1 gill heart. At the base of the other gill, you'll find the other gill heart. And then right in the center, you'll find the main or systemic heart. And those are all 3 of your squid's hearts. So while I have the squid up here, I'm gonna show you guys the ink sac, which actually looks like your squid just ate a giant fish. But that is that silverish, sometimes it's more black, but that is your ink sac. So what you guys are gonna do with your ink sac is you're gonna cut it in half. So you just wanna cut it right in the middle, like in the bigger part of it. And sometimes your squid might have a lot of ink left over in that ink sac. So I don't know if you guys can see, there's a little bit of ink that just spilled out of the ink sac there. If your squid has a lot of ink in its ink sac, you can take your pen and you can dip it in your ink and you can try and write something with your pen and your ink. It's kind of fun. Let's see. Oh, there's a little bit of ink in mine. Some squid will have more ink than others because when these squid are being caught, their first reaction is to ink. So, you know, they might not have enough time to replenish that ink sac, you know, before they've been caught. So that's why mine probably doesn't have that much ink right now. And so the last thing that we're gonna do with our squid, this part's really cool. You're gonna flip it over on its side and we're gonna take a look at its eye. So as you can see, these squids, compared to the size of their head, they have pretty big eyes. So that means they have pretty good eyesight. They actually have very good eyesight compared to other animals in the ocean. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna take out the lens of your squid. And so the lens actually feels like a small marble. It's pretty hard. And so what you're gonna do is you're gonna make a cut into the eye. There might be some eye juices that come out, that's okay. And you're gonna have to use your fingers to kind of feel around the eye. And I can already feel it right away because it's really the only hard part inside of the eye. Let me clean that off a little bit so you can see it. So it might be kind of hard to tell, but this is your squid's eye lens. It's kind of spherical in shape, feels and looks like a really small marble, but when you guys do this on your own, you'll definitely be able to find it and see it. So the lens is pretty cool. Humans actually have eye lenses as well, but ours are kind of shaped like contact lenses. And what the lens helps us do is it helps us refract light that is either in the air or, for a squid's case, in the water. And then they can focus an image better. So with humans, the way a lens focuses images is it changes the shape. Whereas for a squid, there are muscles in the squid's eyes that actually pull or push back and forth the eye lens to actually focus an image or not. So that is your eye lens. And once you get all that stuff out, you're all done. And that's the squid dissection. So like I said, if you guys want to try the dissection at home, you can either buy squid at a seafood market or a fishing tackle store. And if you're wondering what to do with the squid when you're done, remember our talk on sustainability. If you bought your squid from a seafood market, chop up the mantle and make calamari. If you bought it from a fishing tackle store, chop up the mantle and use it for fishing. That's what I'm gonna do. Thank you for joining the last video of the Sustainable Aquaculture Program at Home Edition. I've had a great time teaching you all, and I hope you've had just as great of a time. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.